while I was out of office, this happened. And I knew there would be hay made by you on this program, Chris, while I was gone. Because there was another generationally enriching signing in the National Football League and a contract awarded to somebody who has a non-crooked number in the career playoff win category. That'd be Trevor Lawrence. And the one win that he had as a Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback in the playoffs came in a game in which he had such a dreadful first half. We were all wondering if he'd get benched in that game. And then we all know part of the reason why, and a lot of folks say this, or not, if it's legit, is that the Chargers were charging in that game as well. That's also part of the reason why Jim Harbaugh is now the current head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And Trevor Lawrence got that contract, $55 million a year. 55 per, tying Joe Burrow for the highest such mark in the history of the National Football League. And Trevor Lawrence's contract as well. Overall, in terms of the amount of money thrown at him, 5-year deal pays a total of $275, 142 of which is guaranteed. And the only other person who's been paid a higher total dollar amount in the National Football League's history than Trevor Lawrence is $275. It's Patrick Mahomes, who we all know is not in the category of the realm of the galaxy of being wonder if he's worth it.
Yeah. So he's on the cheap now.
And I will just say this again, once again. If you believe that the quarterback that you have seen in the first 3 or 4 years of his professional playing career has done any of the following or a combination of the following. 1, shown you a path to a championship with his play or his leadership skills, has put in the time, has shown that he, in your opinion, is a true lead pipe wielding professional. If he has shown all that and also been good in the community and has also been good in the locker room and is somebody that has given you zero concerns of being a bad apple. If that person also came in highly touted, if that person is somebody who the general manager there is, hired for you as a head coach who's come in separately and you have together, individually, collectively, as an organization, as well as a front office or coaching staff, everybody rowing in the same direction, doesn't matter what you pay him. You have to pay him market value, and that market value is what Trevor Lawrence got. Certainly compared to what Jared Goff recently got in this particular non-playing season, what Burrow and Herbert and Hurts and Jackson, Lamar got in last year, knowing that at some point you're going to have to pay him because what is your other option? Your other option is to let him play out his deal and show you what he can do for you. Go all in, if you will, with him. And then wind up putting him on the Kirk Cousins plan, which is franchise tag, and making him think maybe you're not all in on him because you haven't given him security in a contract. Or you make him play it out and then go to free agency and get an older quarterback with more miles to the gallon already, more miles on the tires. Do you do that? Or do you go back into the draft and start all over again because you're not going to pay market value? And if you do that, you don't pay market value. If you do that, it does 2 things. 1, it sends a message to the rest of the league. You're not willing to do that for somebody who's put in the time. And free agency might come to bite you if you want to do that. Oh, why am I going to go there? So you don't pay me like Trevor Lawrence at some point? Even though maybe you'll pay me now, but what about that next contract I'm worried about? Or it's the message to within your locker room that you're saying to somebody, hey, we saw how much hard work he put in and did this, that, the other thing. And we saw him get hurt last year, and we're not paying him because we need to see a little bit more. These are all messages that you are sending if you don't do it.
So what?
Well,
I mean,
here's the alternative.
So what?
Here's the alternative. You have put all the time in. You do believe he's the right guy. He can grow. He can keep growing. You do understand what's gone on behind the scenes. You've also told your locker room, hey, everybody, not only are we paying our quarterback market value and enriching him because he's put in the work, and that's what we tell you all here. You put in the work for us, and you show us that you are a professional, and it's your time, your turn. We'll pay you market value. They did the same thing for Josh Allen, their pass rusher. Now, did they pay him top of the market like Nick Bosa? No, they didn't. They didn't. But Josh Allen took it.
Josh Allen's better than Trevor Lawrence.
Now, you could make that case, but what they have done, the Jacksonville Jaguars have placed their bets. They've placed their bets in an NFL world where the salary cap is exploding and going up. They have placed their bets with their quarterback and then their major pass rusher. What do you need to have in this league? You got to have a quarterback and you got to have your pass rusher. You got to have your coach. You got to have a locker room that buys into all that, and obviously other players around them to create the championship team. And the Jaguars have said, okay, to Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen and Doug Peterson, and saying, we're placing our bets and we're going to work, and that's that. Otherwise, they would be telling their locker room, we're not paying you. And also, Doug Peterson, we're not going to put the folks in the locker room that we know you love, because that's the market, and we're just not going to go ahead and pay it.
Well, you can put more folks that Doug Peterson loves in the locker room if you pay everyone appropriately and you have money left over to get more talented, veteran impact players.
He's got a point.
Well, then you're also walking into the walk year with Trevor Lawrence, and you're letting that clank around your locker room.
How'd that work for Joe Flacco?
It worked out really well for Joe Flacco. And then we all understand, though, what it would mean if it also worked out in a way that the rest of the locker room's wondering what the hell's going on in their spot. Why aren't we paying Trevor? He's our leader. We'll follow him anywhere. They're not paying him that. I'm just telling you, Chris.
I mean,
just
no one in
because,
their right mind thinks he's as good as Joe Burrow. Nobody.
Or this is the year that he does.
I'll be stunned.
Okay. There have been things that have been more stunning in the history of the National Football League than Trevor Lawrence panning out as the best player at the position in the National Football League that he can possibly be. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be stunning, because as I've said over and over for years, this guy was touted as being next. So why wouldn't
it's just an
he
insane
continue
business
to evolve?
strategy that these owners have.
It's still better.
Are performing.
It's
now.
still better than the previous one, where these contracts would have been given to Trevor Lawrence before he's taken a snap in the NFL.
No,
But
that's
this is
true.
basically the exact same thing.
It is not the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing if Trevor Lawrence had 3+ years of National Football League quarterbacking
You're
under
giving
his
a guy
belt.
who hasn't earned it the most money in the league, which
But
is exactly what the first overall pick used to get.
This is the way the NFL does business, because there's money coming out of every single geyser. It's a gusher right now, and the cap is going up, and this is the way it will go. And the only question is which one in the NFL, which owner, which coaching group, and which player will wind up being in a boat together, and they decide to try your way, which is you've only won one playoff game here.
So our offer
our offer
4
is
for
less.
160. Like, why not give him the Daniel Jones?
And if you don't like it,
go get it somewhere else.
go get it somewhere else and let him go, and not franchise tag him, and let him walk and let him see what's up. And let's see if there's any other team in the NFL that will throw all that money at him and see how it goes, and also run the risk of alienating people in your locker room and telling people, sending the message to everybody in the locker room, we don't care. If you put in the work and you do everything right and you do everything that we say, if it just comes down to it on a January day that we get one and done or we have a terrible game, that it's on you and you're all gone. And we'll do it again over and over and over again. And the guy who's close to that right now, more than anybody else, is Jerry Jones. And we're all wondering, what's he doing? Well, he's doing exactly what you're saying, Chris. But at the end of the day, I believe Dak's going to have to get paid. And to not pay him now means you've allowed the Jacksonville Jaguars to set the market. You've allowed them to do it. And the longer you wait on Dak, you're going to let the Miami Dolphins set the market. Now, is it possible that the Dolphins are taking this approach as well? Is it possible that they're looking at Tua and saying $55 million a year, like $275 is not the floor for you, bud, because we've seen X, Y, and Z, and we have our questions, and we have this, and we have that. And the longer it goes, the more Tua might be more prone to find an adjective closer to the word pissed off than he did the last time when he was finding the right word to describe his feelings on why a contract had yet to be delivered to him by mandatory minicamp. Training camp's around the corner. Now, you might sit here and say the only spot where Tua can show off his craft in a championship caliber is Miami. And if Miami says no to him and lets him walk, who's going to give Tua an all-time great contract? Who's going to do that? And have the horses for him around him, like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, those guys under contract, and have a whole host of offensive weapons that can run like A-Train and the Boys, which I started watching on my flight. How's that for my first reference by the Boys? So that's the conundrum when you're the player. Am I in the best position for me to succeed professionally, and how many yachts do I need to water ski behind? And but the fact that a team makes you sit there and wonder if you do have the back of the franchise, because they won't set the market with you, they won't top the market with you, is exactly what's potentially causing Brandon Ayuk to tell Jaden Daniels in a conversation that they had on a FaceTime that went and got posted, him saying, the Niners don't want me here. I'm sure the Niners would push back and say, what are you talking about? We want you here. It's just at this price. And he's probably thinking, well, the only way that you really want me here is by hitting my price, and this happens at every position. It just happens to be that no team has really pushed back on their quarterback.
Right.
And Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to be the guy, and the Jaguars weren't going to be the team, and Doug Peterson wasn't going to be the coach that goes, hey, Trevor, you got to show it to us, like more than just what you did 2 years ago. We're not going to talk about you being 8-3 before you got hurt significantly in a way that you fought through. We're going to be talking about that 8-3. We're going to talk about the rest of what happened last year and the picks that you were throwing. Even though he might have been back-footing it because he was hurt. And they would know that. And we're not going to pay you because of that. And everyone in the locker room might know that and be sitting here going, so I do everything, but I get dinged up. I'm not going to get paid when it's my time. Is that right? That's the way the NFL is going to go. And as long as the cap goes up, quarterbacks are going to get it. So that's my opinion on Trevor Lawrence. Is he worth it? You might sit here and go, he's not worth it. Look at the results. He hasn't done it. We've seen guys who in the first 3 years have done more Like, say, Joe Burrow. He made the Super Bowl. This guy made a divisional round, and he couldn't even beat Kansas City like Burrow. So Burrow deserves it, even though Trevor Lawrence's camp might push back on how many games has Trevor missed this first few years.
Rich Gardner Minshew has better stats than Trevor Lawrence.
But how many playoff,
Daniel Jones
how many
has better
playoff
stats.
wins has Justin Herbert had? How many has he had? You know, what's he done? What's he done to make that money?
Kind of insane to pay him that much too.
Except the market bears it and allows it. And you might say it's insane business. It's still better than what it used to be, where those guys got it without playing a single down. Now at least you get a look-see before you have to make that leap.
Right, and we got a look-see, and we can see they're not worth it.
That's easy for you to say right here, wearing your Celtic zip-up on a show like this. If you're sitting in a front office or you're sitting in an ownership suite, you're sitting in your coach's office.
It should be easier. They're the ones with the checkbook.
I get it.
Problem is, you just can't pluck anyone out and put them in that position. It's the toughest position to play.
And Brock Purdy has proved that all incorrect.
Okay, and he's also a unicorn. He's also a unicorn. And by the way, how good might he look if they let Ayuk walk?
Well, that's been the media narrative, that they have a super team, and that's why he looks so good. Look, that was my narrative. I've come around. Everyone else should.
If Brock Purdy had played for the Carolina Panthers, would you be getting the same results?
If it's and butts were candy and nuts, you'd all have banner 18.
You're going to be very annoying. For
No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You got Grimace. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.